in. When gali ka ni balin gani like last year no
October last year.
Mura
Kapit ako mag-year.
Mura ka nang like mag-ulang kay kanibalhin like mura ka last April ni balhin. Gina nakapaspas ang panahon.
Paspas kayo bitaw na siya kay ko alam may kabul ako gibuhat. I mean, igura ko nag-attend ako mga klase online class tapos webinar din. Mura kong gibuhat na ako nag-eskwela ba ko? Gosh. Kunya akong mga kauban bitaw, mga same nga mga cohort. Kay grabe na lang mga experiment, makasulat na sila paper. Niya ako wala gid ko. Wala, zero.
Oh ba? I don't think so. Good evening guys, or good day, or good afternoon wherever you are, whenever you are in the world. This is the Higalaay podcast, ang show kung makigsturya ta makigchika sa atong mga higala. And actually, this is gonna be the second take for tonight sa ako ang guest nga naa sa Trinity College in Dublin, Ireland. And daghan po kayo mig intersection ani sa mga lives. Like parehas mi taga Dipolog, parehas mi nag-eskwela sa MSUIT, parehas po mi nag-work sa yearbook sa Tadman. And then nag-teach po ni siya sa Philippine Science High School where dito po nag-graduate as high school alumni. So, gabi kayo ang among mga paths nag-cross good, and kani siya ang isa mga pinakagina tingala na ko nga mga tao, not just in Iligan but in the entire world. International naman ni siya nga show. So, without any further ado, ang atong esteemed nga higala nga kachika for tonight is none other than Miss JanMell Dugenio. Again, hello, good evening, Miss Jan. How are you?
Hello. Okay ra ko. Okay ra pod ang akong bagong balay diri. So actually sorry mabulol ko kay di ko kabalo sa pag unsa nga language kung gamiton, but anyway, Magbisaya ra man tanong kay mo man Higalaay ra man ang atong chika. So, pag-una ko ni balhin og balay, mao nang sa throughout this broadcast siguro ma-feel niyo nga magwala-wala ko or magpilit-pilit ang akong gwapa nga face, charot lang. Anyway, wala pa internet ni siya nga pag balay, so nagamit ra ko og mobile data, and also pag-ura po ko naman og set up sa mga kailangan atimanon kung di ka mobalhin ka. Napay mga electricity, mga bins, mga unsa pa nang mga palit-paliton diraan. Na-enjoy ko somehow, oo. Pero stress po siya in a way. Okay. Kapoy, wala tayo katuwang sa buhay, tara gid ang maningkamot, ana.
No, wala kay kauban na mag-asot-asot sa mga gamit.
Yes, oo.
Wala ka nakasulay drag moment nga nahulog imo ang stuff na day mo ra ni pagtingala nimo na ay tao nga tabang si mog aswat
ka na afam.
Nay afam.
Ikaw ba ka nga afam is an acronym?
Bito curious ko ana unsay pasabot anang afam?
Ang afam acronym na siya. Kay usually ginagamit daw na sa kuan. Kay di ba ang mga kano di ba sa una kay dito man mapunta diri sa Pilipinas, maabot yun na siya Manila, di ba? So, ang AFAM is an acronym for a foreigner assigned in Manila.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, amin ako mura siya. Wow, as in, amin ako like murag sounds lang siya nga sounds like foreigner.
Not like what? Does it sound like foreigner? No, it doesn't.
Mo gani. Like what if random sound lang siya ba?
Foreigner assigned in Manila.
Kaya like for example, ang word na I don't know if pwede ba na istorya ang word na apuch.
Like, of course, you can say that. Pwede ka na yung buhat. Pwede di buhaton, di ba? Dapat pwede na istorya. So, pwede buhaton, pwede istorya.
Rated, I'm trying to be rated like PG. If like in kaso makakuha na og sponsor in the future. But yeah, anyway, kana siya nga word ba like wala gid siya wala siya ika nang gikwaan nga anything from real life. Mura ra siya sound, nag-imitate og sound of the act of apuching.
No. No.
Really?
The apuch is actually the reverse of the word.
Of
It's not the sound. It's not
yeah, yeah,
onomatopoeia. It's
yeah, yeah,
just
I
the reverse.
know. But ang katong word itself, to chu,
Yeah. Uh,
kay hama putugikan.
it's, the Spanish language, I think, has that word.
Oh.
Remember the lollipop?
Chupa chups.
Yes. And the action of that when
Mm,
you eat the lollipop, you enjoy the lollipop, that's the word for it.
basin diragi ka ng ano, ang Bisaya nga word.
Also, nitong topic no? This is worse than the first take. Oh my goodness.
No. I think would you be fine with if ito ni live? Okay na.
Anyway, yeah. So a fam means a foreigner assigned in Manila. So take note. Charot lang. Anyway, I
Yes.
just made that up. No, it actually fit the narrative, but I just made
Mm-mm.
that up. Don't
Mura
believe
siya
me.
mura siya og katong word na snafu nga military slang din na siya, di na siya mura random lang na word. It's an acronym for situation nominal all
Hmm?
effed up. Muna siya snafu.
Oh, okay.
And tinuod na siyang acronym. So amazing na siya sa ako. So anyway, how are you, Miss Jan? Aside sa katong imo ang mga stuff dira nga nag-move ka and naka-mention ka earlier nga na you're moving closer to the laboratory that you're working on. And para po for the benefit of everyone nga wala kabalo what you're doing there, can you explain to them unsay mo ang ginabuhat dira or like galaag lang ba ka sa Dublin for no reason?
Actually, nag-arty-arty lang ko dili like magpalit og pan tapos ato park tapos mag-arty-arty sa museum. Mura gina siya ang mga ang common stereotype sa mga graduate students na nasa Europe na arty-arty sa museum. Ato lang sa park tapos arty-arty again. But actually, I'm doing my PhD um, in Trinity College in Dublin. I'm under the Center for Doctoral Characterization of Materials. That's one of the CDTs or Centers for Doctoral Training. Kani siya nga CDT kay naka-base ni siya sa 3 universities, Imperial College London ang main na university and University College London and then Trinity College Dublin. So every year nag-recruit sila og mga I think 20 students from all over the world and then gina-assign sa kaning tulo ka universities. So ako na-assign ko diri sa Trinity College Dublin but I will also be taking courses sa Imperial and UCL. So
Yes,
ako gikan
and
sa
kato siya nga mga karang nga mga colleges kay naa sa UK, di ba? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes, Imperial College London is and University College London is in the UK, and Trinity College Dublin is in Ireland. So murag common siyang misconception na Ireland is part of the UK, but you don't say that here. You don't tell any Irish person that Ireland is part of the UK. They will cancel you or whatever.
Ma-offend
That's not a
sila.
good thing to say. I mean, dili mo po sila ma-offend ay siguro. But that's not a good thing to say here in Ireland. Ireland was a British colony before. So part siya sa UK. Sa una ka ng UK, ang full name gid ana is United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland. But the Irish sought independence. Pero napagyapoy part sa island of Ireland na wala
Part sa
siya
UK.
wala siya ni uban sa Republic of Ireland, ang Northern Ireland, which is still now part of the United Kingdom. Munang karon, United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland na siya.
Mm-mm. So and is that something na murag you learned before kanina or like dara na nimo siya murag na visualize gid na mo ni siya ila ang life diri mao gid na ang ilang gipaglaban diri kinana.
Sa una naka-learn ko ani before ko ni anhe. Katong mga times na of course I'm waiting for my visa, 'di ba? Excited ba kayo ka, 'di ba? Like, oh, I'm going to this place, ma-research nga, 'di ba? Mag-research ba ka the accents, so what unsa ang mga dapat dili isulti or kasi mga cultures nila na kanang basin atay mga pabuhaton na sa ila adi kay offensive and or something. So,
Mm.
research na ko taan.
Unsay mga
Magkaroon, first hand na ko na experience ako mga gipang research. First hand ako na siya experience kay nice yung feeling look pero bitaw murag example sa una kaning kabalo naman ko nga sa Trinity College ko mag-eskwela. So, research na ko ang Trinity College. Oh, nindot kayo mga pictures. Tapos, nasa yung feeling bitaw ng pag-abot mo sa school. Kaya, makita na mo, ay, oh my God, sa picture, ako niya makita before. Ano bitaw. Pero, unya, betagikan ha, Tagagulayon, Dipolog City.
yes,
Very
pares tag
remote,
barangay, yes.
remote barangay in Mindanao, in Western Mindanao. Tapos, intawon ako kay mura pud na ako ang kuan, ako ang sana nara pagyapon ang pagka-probinsyana and all nga murag miss kay ko sa mga inani nga mga butang, mura kog kumbaga mura kog na ignorante or whatever. Amazing kay siya for me.
Mm.
So,
So
kasi normal kailangan.
so set the scene daw like pag landing nimo sa airplane dira ana na gawas na ka unsa may imorg na unsa na feel nimo unsa imorg ni come sa imo ang mga sensations.
Paggawas ako sa plane, I mean sa airport yun, paggawas na ako kay na-feel gid ako siya na lahi na gid siya na side sa world kay tugnaw kayo siya paggawas. Wala ako naka-prepare. Kaya they told me na, oh, you should buy thicker clothing because abot ka October, that's the height of autumn. Medyo cold ang temperature dira ana nga time. So ako pod kay feeling ako sige tugnaw ana kaya ra lagi na ako ng tugnaw. Pero wala ko idea unsa gid siya katugnaw. So ang katugnaw niya kay mamaak gid siya nga katugnaw.
As
So
in
na-stress ko kay of course may tropical skin integrity, ano, akong skin kinaanad og tropical na weather. Pag-abot ako diri, paggawas, grabe ka tugnaw. Tapos ni later ni chika ko na grabe tugnawa diri no. Tapos ang temperature di ato kay 12 degrees Celsius. Tapos ana din tong akong mga kauban na Irish na, that's actually pretty warm. So murag okay. Para sa kay tugnaw na kay siya, pero sa ila kay pretty warm pa siya. And turns out nga, tinuod jud ay kay pag-abot og winter, grabe mag-negative na gid siya. So murag, okay, please bring back the 12 degrees Celsius kay sa aning mga negative nga mga temperatures kay murag di na gid kakalihok bitaw nga feeling.
ang negative like nga mga degree Celsius na temperatures kay makita kami ako nasa ref. And while nice magtambay sa ref kadali, pabugnaw, I don't think na ma-imagine ako nga tibuok place malukop o ginana kabugnawa.
Yes, inanagid siya do. In fact, mas pugnaw pa ang gawas kaysa sa ref. So if you want na kanang papugnawan mo imong beverage, mo lang siya ibutang sa gawas, di na kailangan siya i-ref.
So naay heating dira like for winter
Oo,
time.
nag-heating so winter time.
Hmm.
Oo,
Um
legit pag wala heater, maka-stress gid siya.
karon is it like cold or hot dira?
It's summer, it's around 26 degrees Celsius, I think.
Naka-mention ka ganina nga init daw kayo dira mura na siya pareha sa Pilipinas ka init dayon. Ang sa UK pod karon as I hear kay naa pod sila gina experience na heat wave, di ba?
Actually, heat wave at karon jud. And it's like a lot of people are telling me na first time daw ni siya nahitabo sa Ireland. I don't know if first time ba gyud, pero probably first time na long time. Probably nga ang mga temperatures reach 30 degrees Celsius, and in the UK it's like 32. Pilipinas levels na gid siya. So ingon ana siya nga kanang nga phenomenon.
As in, so like kanang maglanay-lanay na gid dira ang mga butang or kanang nabaguhan gid sila dira kibali.
Dili na bampod, pero you know, Irish skin, maskin mga kamay lang ang sunlight, kay mga sunburn na sila, labo na ang mga ginger, mga chinja. Mga Prince Harry na mga skin, mga ana.
Do you think nga kani siya nga new na experience na kainit dira, talking about climate, do you think this is part of climate change or kanang is just another anomaly or a normal occurrence nga is to be expected?
To be honest, I don't really know. I'm not a climate expert, so I can't corroborate that kind of information with the trend or with the observations on the climate. And siguro makaingon ko na I'm not sure if this is really brought by climate change or it's just part of the natural climate patterns. But I'm not a climate change denier. I'm just saying na I don't have enough information to verify that. But the point is, naay mga changes gyud na nahitabo sa atong climate. This may not be one of them, but there are many of them na nagkahitabo na tungod sa human activity na ginatawag nato in scientifically as anthropogenic sources.
Yes. Anthropogenic meaning man-made.
Meaning
or man
photogenic
man. Anthropogenic.
Something anthropogenic meaning the source is from human activity.
Yes, for sure. And so karon nakaisgot naman gitag climate change gamay, and I think this is a perfect segue to the first topic that mo na ni akong gipili nga first topic for tonight. Science is something kabalo gid nga importante siya, pero dili tanan tawo kasabot ana or dili tanan tawo basta-basta bitaw motuo kay labi na karon daghan na kay alternative sources of quote and quote information sa Facebook nga pwede gid tuuhan sa bisan kinsa nga even though dili gid verifiable if true or not. So importante gid kaayo especially sa scientific community nga ila gyud ma-relay ang information even unsa ka complex or unsa ka lisod sa mga normal or mga yano nga tawo parehas nako. So kana siya is the purview of gitawag nga science communication. So I think mo na atong first topic for tonight, and I'm sure as someone nga PhD student, you would be able to comment on unsa na siya ka-importante especially in the age of social media.
Pero gusto ko ikaw sa una mo comment ko. Secure ko sa ano.
Okay. So science communication mo po na gid na karon as someone nga ni-graduate og social science, gitawag na soft sciences. Ang ako ag yung murag encounters with science, hard sciences, engineering, kay dili gid katong mga technical na mga aspect. Dili ko, although say makakita kog mga studies, maka-click kog mga studies sa mga journals nga sa internet, ang ako yung more primary exposure sa scientific knowledge is through people nga who can package the information for me as a layperson. Someone like Neil deGrasse Tyson or someone like Kuya Kim or someone nga si Bill Nye. Kana sila nga mga tao,
Bill Nye.
Bill Nye. Dako na sila na na kung na sila naabot sa scientific world, pero ang ilaang murag main nga karon nga murag priority is to be able to kanang spread scientific messaging sa as much people as possible, as many people as possible. And kanang siguro ako ginang ginatan-aw ron as something important kay kana lagi sa internet karon na daghan na kaayong manggawas nga mga fake nga mga articles or like mag-nitpick sila mga scientific data para i-prove nga the earth is flat or kaha wala kita nakaadto sa moon kanang kibali fake daw ang moon landings or kaha climate change is a hoax di daw na tinuod or kaha kanang kanang vaccines kay can cause autism daw. So ingana ang mga things ba nga which are patently false, and if naalay mga group of scientists that would kanang be able to convey to people nga dili ni tinuod, and here are the reasons why. So mo na siya nga murag feel nako kay kinahanglan gyud nato na siya chikahan.
Yes, I agree. In fact, I think when I got here, natingala ko na because I'm also connected with a certain center here, gitawag like Amber. It's called Advanced Materials and Bioengineering Research. It's it's like a center for that kind of research here here in Ireland, and it's actually a big institution. It's under Trinity College, Dublin, and it's where I am connected as of the moment. So ang akong research kibali kay under siya sa Amber, and ang Amber daghan kay mig ginakuha na mga courses, not really daghan jud pero grabe exaggerate kaayo ng daghan jud. Pero ang ilang commitment towards public engagement and science communication kay makita na ko na kusog and committed gid sila ana kay ang mga staff, ang mga students kay murag naagid mi mga training bitaw na ginakandak. Although unfortunately karon na year kay medyo sad gid kay online ra siya. Pero I don't know sa mga previous years siguro or sa mga umaabot na mga years kung unsa gid nila ang ka-intensive ang training, makita nako. It's about how to engage with the public with your research, with the findings of your research. Oo, so kanang mga findings sa research nga importante gyud na siya, di ba? Like kinsa man na siya importante? Is it just for the academics? Is it just for the scientists? I think the purpose of research is to ultimately benefit the people, the public. And so you can't be a researcher in this day and age without doing public engagement or certain form of outreach na ma-communicate nimo ang imong research or imo ang science to to the people effectively. So lain-lain man na sila ka klase ng mga people, di ba? So the technique is to know your audience, kinsa na sila, and then you package your research or your science and then communicate in a way na masabtan nila. So I think grabe ang push siya na karon. No, it's not just here in Trinity. I think it's all over the world that science communication is really given utmost attention because they realize na it's actually very important. Why? Because science has always been strong. I mean, it's not a failure of science, but it's a failure of science communication that we have a rise of, imagine it's 2021, but then we still have people who think that the earth is flat. And it's not really like I just think that the earth is flat. No, they really believe it as if it is something unshakable faith in the idea that the earth is flat, and also mga anti-vaxxers, mga climate change deniers. So the rise of these kinds of people is not actually a failure of science, but it's a failure of science communication, I think. And that's
Mm.
why nagi stress ana karon na gina-stress gina siya na endeavor
Yes.
to make
So
our researchers become science communicators as well.
for sure. And ang problem pag yun, ang challenge gyud sa science communicators like you is unsaon pag-present ang nuances sa inyong mga findings kay dili man pud pwede nga muka mo adto lang mo and say nga mao ni siya ang unshakable truth kay naa man gyud mo'y na magipay exceptions sa magipay caveats ginana bitaw, and then sa pika side sa mga anti-vaxxers sa mga flat earthers wala sila anang nga inconvenience pwede ra gyud nila iingon tan ilang ganan iingon about sa ila ang mga gipangtuwan kay dili man na based on any data. So unsaon man nimo pag package na even though naagi grander narrative when it comes to climate change, for example, naagihapoy murag mga ginagmay nga mga details nga will really dili pud kamo ingon gid totally, for example, like nga ang sa vaccines kay dili gid siya maka-cause og side effects. Na magi side effects, di ba? Then kandira magud na mga ginagmay nga mga things ang worry sa mga tao ba. Pero unsaon nimo siya pag explain nga even though naani nga mga things on the whole, it's very important nga magpa-vaccinita. Ginana bitaw. So, gabi gid kayo ang problema nato, ang challenge kay we're on the side of truth and we have to accommodate everything yun nga truthful.
You'd be surprised that kaning mga ano nga klase nga mga misinformation or mga tao wala sila dili na sila gastorya nga base kay wala sila data, no, ang ilang basis wala dili data, actually ang mostly sa ila ang basis kay data, and they just mo man ni siya ang problema sa data good. Data does not exist in itself. Naman ka, oh, that's a fact. But how do you use that fact? How do you use that fact? What is the message that you want to give sa imuang pag-display ng a fact, or kung naman ni kay data, even if you say, oh, this data is actually a fact, pero ang imong pag-frame sa imong data, or mo siya, or is that data even reliable, but you make it sound like it is? So dire din mo gawas ang natawag nato na fake news. No, when I was younger, katong mga panahon na campus journalism ang pinagkakaabalahan ng tita nyo. Di ba? Namog ni mga campus journal sa una ng mga events. Unsa kay ning NSPC mga inana.
Yes.
Naka-appeal ba kag NSPC?
Wala ko taman ra ko RSPC. Wala ko copy of national. It's so sad.
I was able to join the NSPC twice sa grade 5 ko o fourth year high school. Kapil kog NSPC. Pero never ko ka nakadaog sa NSPC, but at least naka-join ko. But anyway, naka-appeal ko ng mga news writing, copy reading, and headline writing, di ba? Kanang ang atong concept sa news ang natudlo sa to sa una sa campus journal, kay news is inherently factual, di ba? Napag mga 5 W's and 1 H, dapat inverted triangle pa na siya, dapat nasa ibabaw ang kung gusto unsa gid imong gusto iingon directly, such that even if putlo nimo ang triangle katong nasa ibabaw maka-stand alone ra siya and it will still be informative and factual. So I never thought nga moabot ko sa karon nga panahon nga pwede day magamit ang fake nga adjective to describe news. Fake news. And karon very na siya, household na siya na expression na pwede mo siya magamit as a joke, like to use that um, words na fake news to describe something you didn't really mean. Like, for example, wala ka kaabot, nga, padulong na ko, o fake news na siya, ngayon, O kana pong mga, kanang mga laki bitaw, or mamingon sila na, um, magkado-kado lang, or magtanaw lang Netflix, kana fake news na siya.
Unsa day ang tinuod ana day Miss Jan?
Apat lang. Basin ka tong kuan.
Yan ta Edna chika bata na. Pero mo lang ito nga ang imong main point is even ang kanang sa pika side of the aisle mga flat earthers, mga anti-vax kay diligid na sila, wala sila ilang data kay comes from kanang scientific literature lang gihapon pero gitwist lang to fit their agenda kibali.
Yes, I think that yeah, basta na bitaw political na factor na nga side something, because I think pure science, or the science itself, kay it's very open. Like, ay naputol na po siya do.
Pero naay mo audio, it's okay.
Oo. So, ang science gid itself kay open siya, and it's inquisitive, it doesn't judge. Pero pag nanay kay political agenda, you use that you know the science together with a certain political agenda, dira na siguro nimo na kay murag i-tailor fit na nimo ang mga facts based sa imong political agenda nga dapat mo align siya dira to support it. So, murag ina na ata ang kahitabo, but the science itself is just there. It's just based on a what you call this, the current framework of scientific research. Muna siya ang amo ang findings. Of course, it's peer reviewed, but it doesn't really mean that it's absolute and that it's immutable or unshakable or something.
Yes. And do you think na kaning mga movements na nato karon, even though if i-compare gid nimo siya sa whole population, gamay ra man siguro flat earthers gid na matawag, gamay ra man gid siguro yung mga anti-vaxxers na matawag. Do you think nga this correlates somehow sa kanang murag anti-authoritarian nga mga attitudes nga murag they don't respect any kind of institution that will tell them nga this is what's true, this is what's real? Ano bitaw? Nga murag just because isa mo scientific institution mo kay mutuon na dahil ninyo, kami day magkuha sa mga kaugalingon nga matawag nga tinuod. Murag ginana bitaw ang mga punks nga mga attitude ba?
Yes, I think karon man gud kay murag tungod sa advent of the social media, murag ang nahitabo kay everybody has a voice, right? You said earlier that everybody can have a voice, everybody can have a platform, and everybody can share kung sa ilang gusto, and then probably kay tungod pwede kan mag-like or pwede ma-viral, diba? It can actually reach a lot of people and probably even reach the authorities themselves, and they can probably do something about it. So murag nagi paskin sa katong wala pa social media, nagi na nga feeling, di ba nga kanang murag anti-authoritarian, murag anti-government, na murag kanang we don't trust the government. Dili nimo tuo kung unsa ilang ikuan kay basig mind control na siya, or they're just putting something in our water to make us obey them, something like that. Namagin na mga mga feelings, and I think that has also probably that has made us survive somehow, that kind of instinct na murag diba? Like, we don't just take in everything na ginahatag sa tua, or we don't just read the things that we are asked to read something. Okay. And pero dili ko sure ha kung is it in excess now na murag tungod na social media, kay murag tungod kay na kay platform, you feel the need to use a platform, and in fact it's better for you to just shut up or do nothing. So more bitog ingon ana nga kakahitabo. But I don't really know if it has worsened nowadays, or will it be for the better or for the worse, or will it be the what you call this, the demise of the human civilization, or is it just another step towards our evolution and our continued domination of this planet? I don't know.
Yeah, wala kita kabalo.
My
And
mind is not really.
yeah, and social media is at its infancy pa gyud. So mo lang ang karon ang mga tao, they're wising up. They
10 years,
especially those katong naay mga agenda, they're using the platforms to their advantage, and siguro eventually it will all fix itself in time. But my question for you is, karon nga nani nga mga problems, and we really have to reframe again the conversation nga dapat uh, not necessarily nga dapat ato na dayon dawaton tanan as truth ang ginaingon sa mga scientists, but kanang to think critically in a positive way or in a proper way. Like unsaon nimo as a science communicator, how would you begin the communicating the science to high schoolers, for example, or to elementary students? Unsaon na nimo pag-start na pud balik sa Pilipinas na context, for example?
And to be honest, I don't want to be labeled as a science communicator, because I number one, I am not, and I'm still learning about these things. I'm still not doing my science, so dili ko communicate totally sa science. But what I can do probably is to what you call this, have conversations with them. And probably if medyo stable na ko sa mong pagka-researcher or pagka-scientist kibali or ingon ana, kung medyo na anak ko'y ginatawag na credibility or expertise, siguro pwede na ako maghuna-huna na saan ako siya pag-relay in formal events, say for example. Pero dapat gyud no nga sa Pilipinas gyud dapat kusog o nga push nga initiative for science communication. Nice to katong mga sineskwela. Pero I think na pa ba yung sineskwela karon na version
I
sa
think naayos nila reruns, pero wala nila gi-revive or something. Naay mga shows like Matanglawin ni Kuya Kim, or katong na si Drew Arellano, that's another science show sa GMA. But aside from that, wala man kayo ingana nga murag super duper push for science communication.
oo. Pwede po siguro ka ng mga outreach na mga like moto ka sa kanang mga elementary schools sa mga lagyo, mga hinterlands. Tapos kanang mag-explain ka dito sa mga bata, nice siguro na siyang activity. Pero mostly ang good sa mga sa mga like mga scientists or mga academics, kay wala energy na para inana mang good, wala kasi energy nga kanang, diba, like moadto gid sa mga bundok-bundok kay para mag science communication, murag grabe siya, murag mura siya strange na idea, murag mamundok kay para mag science communication.
I think dira na pwede din magamit ang atong mga like digital tools nga, instead of matugid sila dito, what if magdala na lang mga materials dito like videos.
Yes.
Mm.
Oo, like magdala na lang kag mga iPad dito sa ano, 'di ba? Tapos isa ka technique na kayo maghimo kag games
Yes.
na like regarding vaccines, ano for example, game, ana pa bakuna ka or dili. Ngayon ana itanong ang bakuna.
Then if dili maigo kay machugi. Dili pa.
Like, so it requires a lot of time to think about like kailangan siya mag-come up with ka. Munang lisod ang science communication. It's actually usahay masayon pa ang kanang maghimo lang kag sa imong magkadakag research kaysa sa pag-communicate nimo sa imong research usahay mas lisod siya. So okay ra kung naka sa isa ka technical na conference kaya nimo ang audience kay mura mang peers. So maski pag grabe ka technical dira, it doesn't matter. Pero what if ang imong audience kay mga tao, 'di ba? Tapos grabe ang like for example, sa kanang research about sex and gender, 'di ba? Na kanang they found out that sex is actually not binary. It's not as simple as being binary, male and female. And then imo nang i-publish. Tapos i-pick up siya o kanang mga news organizations like The Guardian or Washington Post or something, and then they place headlines like sex is not binary according to scientists, something like that. So people will react and say, you're denying biology, something, di ba? Mas masako din sila kay grabe na gining agenda sa mga trans people. Grabe na mga transgenderism o mga trans activists na mga agenda. Ano ni ang epekto karon, no? We are descending to degeneracy. Oo, mura na siya ang end of human civilization. Di pagbungkag na ang i-deny na maskin ang biological fact. So inana na dahil ng mga reaction. Oo, so lisod kayo siya i-communicate in a way na ma-realize nila na it's what the science tells us, but it's not the ultimate thing. It's not absolute. It's not immutable. It's what we're finding out. We're still gathering data.
Yes, for sure.
So, pag-communicate, isod na dahil siya.
And ang isa po sa mga things bitaw nga akong i-chika, for example, nga importante kay science communication kay like daghan na kay mukalat karon like in Facebook, for example, nga kanang dili ra ba overt bitaw ang pag-share ang data. Like usually it happens in DMs, in messengers, ng mga chats, nga mag-forward sila mga unverifiable information bitaw nga dili sila ma-detect nga ga-share na sila mga ingana kay pinatago man kayo ang ilang pagkalat anak nga mga kuan nga if mapaturok daw ka depende daw sa imong bakuna kay ani nga length of time after kay mamatay na daw ka na ginana nga mga chika karon. So like it's very dangerous and it's really contributing to the huge kana bitawng hesitancy sa pagpaturok of vaccine. So now more than ever gid kinahanglan yun kay nato nga nga mo stand firm ta nga these things that science has given us are not kanang ginahatag out of a whim, kanang murag naa siya ginaagi nga proseso, method that kanang ensure safety dili lang sa atong elderly population but the general population nga dili ta makatag og vaccines like willy-nilly.
Yes, of course. The reason why our civilization has survived up to this point kay tungod sa mga medical advances and isa ani kay mga vaccines, no? Kaning gisugdan na siya sa pag-eradicate sa smallpox before. Yeah, na the first vaccination na nahitabo. And it's actually proven to work. So I just don't know how it happened. Number na yun na ng mga conspiracies. I really don't know. Pero I think the fear is kind of um mura po kag makaingon na in this day and age murag mag-expect ka nga naingon ana nga mahitabo. Mag-expect ka nga murag na ay manggawas ng mga conspiracies. Tungod gid siguro I think sa kanang murag grabe na bitaw ang information na to karon na murag dali ra kay siya maka-spread. Ang maskin kinsa pwede mag magmugna-mugna na and because pwede na siya mabugna-bugna and pwede na ma-disseminate ang pagbugna-mugna, there will always be a chance that some people will take it seriously, even if how crazy that sounds. And if wala lang ang totoong power na ma-disseminate siya, it would not have reached those people who will believe it despite the fact that it's so crazy to begin with. So murag nag-effect ang ang kanang the spread of misinformation. Misinformation in itself is dangerous, but the spread
Is even more
is even
dangerous.
more dangerous.
Yes. And I think, Manggod,
Defies.
that humans are motivated by either fear or like hope. And sa social media, mas gabi yun ang reaction ng imong mag-garner if grabe kayo ka-upsetting or violent or hate-mongering
Or
ang imo
sexy.
ang content.
Or
Oo.
sexy.
Yeah, so mas daghag mo
Or sexy.
ha?
Or sexy kung mas the more boobs kay ano na siya. Mas ano na siya, mas dagang ma-elicit na response.
If na ass, if na butt, if na
If
curves, na pinahipi-hipi
makita
nga
man
koan.
Hindi mo kay di ba post laging normal picture di ba mo ni mo like pag post ganyo kang naka-bikini ka or naka sa beach tapos sexy di ba mo daghan ang like sana.
Oh, dapat magbikini po guno basta daghag mo like if
Pwede.
mag-experiment ang thumbnail ani kay kanang nakabikini nga ako and ikaw.
Na true. So kung fear, di ba? Kung something nga kanang maka-elicit og fear, mas or hope, I think, di ba kanang mga stories pud na kanang faith in humanity restored sa mga types sa stories. Di ba daghan po kaya sila mga likes and mga shares. And
So
same sa mga fear-mongering na mga na mga posts. I think patok pud siya. Patok.
yes. So kana siya nga mga post like even though kanang mga hopeful na mga post kanagi siya pagka cheesy gamay or kana bitong murag yung kanang too self-possessed or self-absorbed ra kayo siya nga mga post nga like, I'm doing something good. Look at me, I'm doing something good. Bro, ginana ang dating sa kwa. Even though ingana ang iyang dating, mas mo prefer na lang kuha na kaysa anang mga things that evoke hate sa mga tao.
That divide people.
Yes.
So,
Final
yeah.
thoughts on science communication, Miss Jan, before we proceed or we wrap up the show.
Yes, I think science communication should be given utmost importance by our government. Of course, the Philippines should not, dapat dili magpaulahi sa rest of the world when it comes to science communication. In fact, nanatay record about science communication because we have a Filipina girl, it's a Filipina boy, so it's a Filipina.
Philippines daw, Philippines.
Philippines. Oh my goodness, don't even get started with that. And then siya si Hilary Andales, who is an alumna of Philippine Science High School, Eastern Visayas Campus. Nasa karon sa MIT. She won the Breakthrough in Physics Award for her work on relativity. She made a video about it, explaining it to to an ordinary person or to a lay person. So it's actually very cool yung video. You can check it out. Actually, I think nasa YouTube something. She has done work on science communication and I think ganahan ko na mudagan paunta ang mga Hillary Andales sa atong mga estudyante or sa atong mga
Yes.
scientists or sa maski sa kanang mga people na ganahan sila na communicate ang science, no? Pwede ka ayo na kay kanang usahay ang mga scientists walay time, so ang mga estudyante nga ga-study pa, di ba? Pwede to mo ka-start og communicate sa science. And I think this needs government attention, no? I think nga kanang ay mga programs for training on science communication. I think this is, in fairness, I think this is also happening naman siguro. So wala lang siguro kabalo pero naman siguro ni nga mga programs jud. Dayon unta mas strengthen pag yun siya ana because very important na gid kayo ang science communication karon labo na sa pag-rise anang kanalaging mga daghang mga climate change deniers, mga anti-vaxxers, mga hantod karon gapabilin gihapon ang mga tao na mo deny or dili mo tuon na nakaadto ta sa moon ano bitaw. Amazing
Nagyapon
kay
sila. Even though,
amazing kay imagine ma-fold mo ang entire NASA team na how many thousands of people nag-work ato. Tapos masabot nimo sila tanan na ayogin mo saba nga dili ni tinuod.
then dili lang kana. Ang tanan space agencies sa entire world, like 70 plus, nagsabot po kunuhay sila nga,
Yes.
guys,
Even Russia.
o even Russia kalaban sa US ato nga time sa space race, na murag ila kunuhay itong i-confirm na yes, napildi mi sa US. Ginana.
Ni-agree sa ilaan. Akoan. Na nakaato silang moon.
Yes, for sure. I guess that wraps it up for science communication. Would you like to proceed to the next topic? Na pa ba kay something in mind?
Ang ako na po na topic na
yes.
prepare. Simple na siguro ako transphobia.
Oh my God. I felt like kani siya kanang among rato mga topics for tonight.
Among naman na siya sa atong standards. Science communication, transphobia.
Okay. Well, transphobia is something na not a lot of people siguro naka-encounter na ang mga Pinoy ani or na sila'y gamay knowledge of it, pero dili gid siya something na really as evident compared sa US, for example. Although nagdaghan kay cases of transphobia, but di gid siya something na in the zeitgeist of Philippine Philippine topics. So again, let's begin. Let's try. Okay, this is something that's very tricky and something that I would like to be educated on po.
Ako, gusto ko ma-educate about transphobia because I'm just a transgender. No, but probably napakoy dagang ma-learn about having a conversation about transphobia with you, who is a cisgender straight male. So
hapit na ako ma-check tanan boxes, white na lay kulang.
White. What if ikaw kung examine mo yung self, no? Psychoanalyze mo yung self, what will be the reasons na ma-transphobic ka? How do you justify, for example, if you are transphobic, just for example lang. I know you're not. If you're transphobic,
before ta mag-start ana, I think naghang mga tawo nga wala kabaloon sa ang trans. Sinugdanan pa lang unsa ang transphobia. So let us kanang try to describe these terms define the terms.
Okay. So ang transphobia is like what's ako na pag-define? it's not really the fear. What it's not is that it's not an actual fear of transgender people. So it's probably some
It's similar to homophobia,
yeah,
pero
yeah, it's a
directed toward
summary
trans
of
people.
yeah, summary of feelings that you have against trans people. Like you don't want them to have equality. You don't want them to have rights. You don't you do not believe that they are the gender that they are. So kana siya nga summary sa mga feelings to or against transgender people that constitutes transphobia, I think, whether it be direct or indirect or casual or internalized,
Mm.
those things constitute transphobia. And so, unsa rin ang transgender people, no? Kung nakay na nga mga feelings against transgender people, unsa rin ang mga transgender people? So trans people are people who are or who identify uh, or they have this gender that is opposite to those assigned at birth. So if you're assigned male at birth and then you identify as female, or you are a man and then you identify you were assigned male at or a man at birth, but then you identify as a woman, or the other way around, you were assigned female at birth and then you identify as a man, then you're transgender. So it's like an umbrella term, something like that.
Yes.
So, so muna siya ang transgender, na-define na nato. Tapos muna siya ang, na-define na po nato somehow ang transphobia, although very light lang. Pero it's like a summary of feelings against transgender people. And that feelings could be politically reactionary or posible po siya na um, wala, bigotry lang, pure bigotry lang yun siya. Na, pero ang yung effect is to deny these kinds of people their liberty. So karon going back to that, so what if you are transphobic? How would you justify your transphobia? Or what might be the sources of it? Or nga nung ma-transphobic man ka?
Okay. So first of all, I would like to clarify. I try to not be transphobic. I don't think I am transphobic. Although namaginay di malikayan nga mga kwan siguro guilty mas kita na tanan na guilty mo mga passing nga mga ito mga quick nga mga di po like mga passing nga mga thoughts bitaw nga kuan nga especially if like you're raised in a conservative na household and then nakaning mga beliefs pero you grow out of it pero dili automatic. So naagigyapoy ka ng especially if conditioned ka by society to think a certain way dayon until nga such a time nga ikaw na naghunaw na for yourself. Nagi mga things nga lisod pa nimo i-unlearn. Although the important thing is even though you think these thoughts, your actions do not necessarily reflect on sa magali. And ultimately, your actions are what matter. Your words are what matter. So for me, I think ang justification nako for why a lot of people, especially people that I know are transphobic, is kanang um, they don't really understand what it is. They don't have a lot of education on it, especially kay murag, you know, trans people are comprised like not dili man gid dako nga percentage of population. I don't know if you have the figures, pero it's a small percentage if I'm not mistaken, di ba? Yeah, so it's a small percentage, and so it's not every day that you will meet someone who is trans. And so a lot of people wala gid kay sila exposure to trans people, and therefore if maka-encounter sila og someone who is trans kay naa sila ilaang schema, ilaang worldview kay dili mo apply for that particular person. And so kanang it usually comes from a place of ignorance, and then it's like an unwillingness to to fit people outside of the two boxes nga atong naandan, like itong mga establishments na either male or female. If mag-check ang mga box, either male or female. If mag-grow ka in a society nga mora na imo ang nabaw-an nga mga boxes, kay dayon na someone comes along and says, actually naapay beyond male and female. Di ba, like dili nimo siya basta-basta
And
ma-unlearn. And
non-binary.
oo, napay non-binary, di ba? So murag dili nimo siya basta-basta ma-unlearn, and it takes a lot of education good, which a lot of people don't have access to. Like for example, like me, ang ako yung first good na murag education on trans people is probably in college, and dili gali in a college classroom setting, but just online and just talking to people who are trans like you. And so most of this comes from a place of kanang ignorance, and kanang not a lot of exposure on it. And another thing put is religion. Kay that transphobia is in many ways related to homophobia. uh, you know, and a lot of homophobia is rooted in conservative religious upbringing. Although we don't say nga all religious people are homophobic, pero naay mga religious teachings na are homophobic. And people would usually say nga, I love gay people, but
But
the Bible says ngani ngani nginala. And I think that would also apply to trans people, even though wala you mention of trans people in the Bible or in the Quran. So, but I think that they would still use the same justification for that. And so, do you think that ako rin na-answeran tanan, like properly ang question?
yes, of course, of course. Oh, what about those people who are educated? They don't came from a place of ignorance. They know very well what trans people are, and they know that um, okay, this is how they define themselves. This is actually a real and an existing group of people, but still they still work towards actively work towards um, you know, reversing the progress that trans liberation has gone. So what about those people? Why are they still transphobic? What do you think?
You know, I'm sure nga dagang facets to this, but may a reason that I could see nga nung ana is maybe, you know, they as I imong naingon nga, they probably see transgenderism as a degeneracy in society, as a, you know, as a, I don't know, is that, do you think nga mo na siya ang case?
I really don't know, but I think that well, homophobia, for example, people are homophobic because they think that it's different from us because it's different. What they do is different from what we are doing. Like say, for example, I am a woman, I should be with a man, but why is a woman with another
With
woman? So yeah, or a man with another man. So the homophobia arises from that kind of dissonance that, oh, what you're doing is different from us. This is the normal thing, that is an abnormal thing. And so that's where their homophobia is rooted. But when it comes to transphobia, there is a deeper source of of that feeling against trans people, and I think that is what we call as gender metaphysics. Um, a lot of people don't actually believe that transgender people are the gender that they are. And that
Mm.
is the source of the transphobia. Like, for example, when I say I'm a woman, how do you know? The transphobe will tell you, how do you know that you're a woman? Are you really, do you really, is that really true? That you're saying that you're a woman? Are you actually a woman? So sa dira gasugod ang mga ang mga yung mga chika, ang mga talking points sa mga transphobes, I think dira sa gender metaphysics na part. Are you really the gender that you say you are?
Mm. Dili nila
Dira
ma-reconcile silang brain nga ang ilaang murag construction of what a woman is so wildly different from what trans people are trying to, project.
yes. Yes, and dira na din magsugod ang mga talking points. Like number one, you say you're a woman, but why do you have these kinds of genitals? Why
Mm.
you say you're a man, but why do you still have these genital?
Mm.
You say you're a woman, but you didn't experience the oppression that women experience when they grew up.
Mm.
You say you say you're a woman, but um, you still really look like a man. You,
Yes.
you you say you're a woman, but you don't have the XX chromosomes. So, dira nagsugod ang mga transphobic talking points sa question na, are you really the gender that you say you are?
Yes.
Diba? So, mura siya ka na ang mahitabuan na kung ikaw ang trans woman, especially if you're okay ra kung kung wa kay paki, di ba? Like katawan nimo sila among-among ana. Munang ko nga daghag mga trans women na among-among kay ngano man it's actually um a defense. So kay di ba kung ikaw ma-face ka ng question like, are you really a woman? Are you really the gender that you say you are? So kung ikaw ang trans woman na ang pangutanan bro, labo na kung wala ka kabasa ni Judith Butler, wala ka kabalo nga gender performativism or mga unsa pa na nga mga gender theories diha
Yes.
that back up the validity and the existence of transgender people, di ka katubag, di ba?
Mm.
So mag-among ka, pag among nimo, that's a defense mechanism. In that way, you keep your sanity amidst all these transphobic accusations or
Talking points,
abuse that you
yes.
receive, di ba? Or something like that.
Mm.
So, ang mahitabuan na, kung ikaw pod kabalo ka sa tubag, um, di gyapon mo akong mahuman, di ba? Kay daghan gyapon siya mga follow-up na questions and which all boil down to how do you know? How do you know? So ang mahitabuan na kay magsigira mog debate about validity and identity. Magsigira mog debate kung tinuod ba gyud ka nga unsa ka or whatever. Pero ang issues na gina-face nimo everyday like discrimination, like lack of employment, like lack of benefits, ang hate crimes, naara gihapon siya. Dili siya ma-address because busy kay mo ang debate kung
Yes.
tinuod ba gid ka, di
Yes.
ba? So muna siya, that's why transphobes will never end the debate
Mm.
because
It's in
if
their
the
best
debate is not,
interest na ipadayon
yes,
ang debate because they don't care about your rights. And as long as the
yes,
debate goes on, no rights will be
yes,
taken care of.
true. That is exactly why I don't want to prove myself every time. I don't want to be focused on my validity because even if I have like one, two, three theories or how many gender theorists are there to prove that I am valid or prove that I am invalid, it doesn't really matter because it doesn't have to be true. It just have ang quality lang dapat nga naa siya, it can be true. And the fact that it can be true means we have to take it seriously. And we have to, di ba? Like everything is meaningless kung sino kag-debate kung true ba na siya. The only requirement is it can be true. It doesn't have to be it is true. It it can be true. That is enough for you to take seriously the plight of these kinds of people, the rights that they should have.
For
So muna
sure.
siya ang ano,
And
muna siya ang
to quote or like to paraphrase kato si Neil deGrasse Tyson sa atong interview nga atong na see to na nakita together. Yan na siya ito nga whether or not being trans is like a biological or psychological phenomenon, dili na siya mag-matter because the fact is the phenomenon is there, it exists, it's happening. And so trans people exist. And so it is in our best interest to protect the rights that they need to have, whether or not unsa ba, whatever it is the science says or whatever it is sociology says.
yes, I think so. But even then, science actually supports the existence of
Yes,
trans
for sure,
people.
for sure.
And we even have an entire field that's dedicated to trans studies and to trans healthcare. And I even know of people who actually work on transgender studies. And but then the science does not, it does not um, say anything about giving these people rights.
Rights.
It's about politics, right? So it's about
Yes,
politics. And
yes.
the people will always some people will always try to bend things
Mm.
towards
Towards
you
their
know
favor, they bend the science to fit their narrative. Dira na
yes,
mosulod ang science communication.
and okay ra ang narrative kay okay, pero the narrative is harmful to a group that is already marginalized. So murag
Yes.
ano siya, oo. Tapos ano pa jud kanang sana katong interview ni Neil og ni our good friend Ben Shabibo. O, oo. Kato siya
So
kay murag
wait. Sa mga wala nakabalo, Neil deGrasse Tyson again is a famous scientist, science communicator, astrophysicist, while Ben Shapiro or Ben
Ben
Shabibo, as we
Shabibo.
fondly call him, is a conservative US commentator and is a huge transphobe and is using his conservative agenda to further the transphobia. And so, na-show si Ben Shapiro nagchika sa ni Neil deGrasse Tyson where Neil profoundly expresses nga nung importante kayo to protect trans rights regardless of what the science says.
Yes, and these conservatives are so bent, or the transphobes na lang. Ayun na to i-generalize ang mga conservatives. But the transphobes are so bent kasi to prove that, or they're really waiting for that scientific breakthrough na mag-cement yun sila ang idea that being transgender is psychological thing. Which is true. It has a psychological aspect. That is true. That has been studied. That there were many scientific articles regarding that. But there's also a lot of articles regarding the biology of transgender people. And ang ilang kay gusto nila nga ma-establish siya nga psychological ra siya kay para pwede din nila mag-craft sila
E-therapy.
law, oo, nga pwede i-undergo ni siya og certain
Conversion.
procedure or conversion, something using psychological techniques kay para mawala ang iya ang pagka-transgender, or pwede ba ka mag-remove og certain reading material or dapat tayo itudlo sa mga eskwelahan para dili gid sila mahimong transgender ang mga tao. So something like that. So ang ilang agenda really is reactionary. So ilang yung i-reverse towards kumbaga the erasure. The erasure of
The
trans.
progress that has been done for trans people, they want to erase, kibali.
True. And matod pa ni Neil dito, dili gid mo na siya mawala kay ang tanang tao yun sa kalibutan agid sila katungod na mabuhi kung sila gusto mabuhi. Di ba?
Yes, and that is the sign of a true liberty. Na you are allowed to express yourself however way you want, love whoever you want, live the way you want, as long as you're not trouncing or tramping the rights of others to live the way they want to. Yes. So, napabakay angay idungag sa transphobia?
Wala naman siguro. Okay, actually, ang pronouns. Ako ba no, si Ben Shapiro kay dili gid siya mo recognize sa pronouns. At may na lang tong yung lighter version na si Jordan Peterson kay medyo mo recognize pa siya sa mga sa correct pronouns.
Yeah.
Pero si Ben Shapiro kay gabi siya kagahi no, as in actually misgender like.
Pero naagyapon siya mga instances nga natural gid mo gawa sa iya ang pronouns. Like kanang biton dili niya i-think pero makaingon siya her even though isa ka trans woman to siya. So
active na ginaya ang pag-prevent sa iyang self nga kanang nga magamit niya ang correct pronouns kay of course like for example if the person like Blair White for example or si Laverne Cox na cover
so
sa Time Magazine.
These are trans people personalities on YouTube, di ba?
Si Blair White, pero si Laverne Cox is a celebrity, one of the first few trans people who actually has an Emmy nomination.
Okay.
And now si MJ Rodriguez, siyang first na Emmy nominated na lead actress yun.
Yes, I saw that news.
Yeah. So, sila mga people, pag i-refer ni Ben Shapiro, maningkamot pa siya na dili niya ma-her or ma-she. Dapat ihigid niya. Kaya nga naman, ang origins daw sa pronouns kay biology. What? I mean, walagi ko kinakita nga biology book matod pa ni Natalie Wynn. Na walagi siya nakita na biology book na kas og chapter about sa lalaki nga he, the biology of a he or the biology of a she. I think it's not biological in nature. The pronouns is actually language usage that we're talking about.
It's social in nature.
Yes, it's social in nature. It's not about biology. I mean, dira pa lang daan na wrong na si Ben Shapiro. So, muna mag-struggle gid siya kay makita yan mo si Blair White for example. Socially, she's a woman. Makita gid mo siya, babae gid siya, di ba? Tapos, i-refer mo siya he, di ba murag wrong? So, struggle gid siya na i-prevent yung self na her ni or she gamiton niyang sakto na pronoun. Okay, alangan.
And naagalito siya isa ka like conservative na friend daw. I don't know if kaila kasi Ben Shapiro na siya conservative na friend na si Dave Rubin who is gay. And then gi-ask niya si Ben if mo-attend ba siya sa gay wedding if ever magpakasal si Dave Rubin. Ang gingon ni Ben kay no. And iya atong Jewish friend. Iya Jew man puto si Kuan, si Ben Shapiro, Jewish. So
si Ben Shapiro.
So ano bitaw ang level of kana bang commitment niya sa iyang homophobia and transphobia para lang yun to further his agenda ba.
Oo, tapos ang iro bang i-debate ka ng mga college students na mga walay hanaw. Tapos
Mm.
destroyed and I destroyed.
I think we're digressing way too much na, and bas hindi na kayo late ito mga listeners ng Ben Shapiro and stuff. Pero yep, transphobia, it's bad. It's something that's very complex. And I hope our listeners today learn a bit more about how to navigate their way to, try to understand transgender rights, transgender issues, and avoid being transphobic.
Ako bitaw Lu, dili po ko in favor sa kanang i-police bitaw ang language. Like say for example, you're not allowed to say this to a trans person. Murag, um, murag siya, dapat ano siya, dili siya mabot ana na point na murag. I think I think the the capacity to offend people should be preserved. No? Dapat nagyapon tayo, dili gyapon dili ta dapat mabuhi in a world na murag and we're not allowed to offend anybody. That would be an insufferable kind of world, right? Pero I mean, dili dapat mawala ang freedom na mahimong transphobe. 'Di ba? Like that protects all our freedoms.
Yes. So
Pero it's on you na, 'di ba? If you want to be a jerk, then go ahead. I mean,
yeah, for sure. And transphobia, as long as it's limited in like words or in writing, as long as it's not like physical assault or it results to bodily harm or kanang
pwede naman gud siya magsugod-good. This
mm.
siya, it's a difficult line or
Yes,
it's a
yes.
difficult situation kay kanang mga murag simple ra nga storya or mga sisulat kay dangerous or harmful gid siya ang iyang murag ending like pareha ni J.K. Rowling o di ba murag nag-tweet lang siya pero grabe ang effect sa iyang tweet.
Yes, yes. Kaya
It
magnified
has
magud ang impact sa yung utterances good.
it has turned an entire nation against trans people. Grabe ang hold ba karon sa turfery or kanang transphobia or bigotry in against trans people in the UK, in England for example. Tungod kay powerful pud kayo si J.K. Rowling dito nga part sa world.
Mm.
So yun na nalisod pud siya no. Of course, dili na to ginakuha sa ila ang right to say what they want to say. Pero usahay ang ila pong ginaingon pod kay medyo dangerous pud siya or harmful pud siya in a sense. So lisod ang kinabuhi, di ba? Lisod ang
This is
kinabuhi.
good. This is good. And I think good pod na you're right in saying na you should be able to preserve the right to offend orally or otherwise. Pero kana lagi nga I think we have to ask ourselves at dayon nga in our crusade to speak what we think is true, who are we benefiting in the process? Who are we hurting in the process? And if you find in the answers nga you're hurting people who are already down or already don't have a lot of leg up in society, you should kanang reconsider your values siguro.
You should be kind. Ano na siguro no? Should be kind.
Yes. And I think that would be a perfect ending for this episode. Nga grabe kayo jam-packed with fun conversations and serious na mga insights regarding transphobia and science communication. Combo ni siya nga kuan guys. Nga education for our listeners right now.
Sorry sa ko internet. Lou, thank you very much for coming up with this podcast, coming up with this concept, and also thank you for inviting me na mahimo kong part sa imo ang endeavors, no? Salamat kaayo. Ako ni
No.
siyang a very to call this useful na maglisod jud ko because I'm thinking in another language, um, nindot ni siya na opportunity para sa ako na makastorya sa imo to converse with you and also let others join in our conversation.
Miss Jan, the honor is all mine. Okay, like again, you're one of the people I look up to, and I think all time sa Iligan City, ikaw gid ang isa sa mga pinaka grabing impact anang nga syudad, and
Mas grabe
whatever.
pa daw kung impact. Mas grabe pa daw kung impact kaysa kay Mayor. Charot.
Mas grabe pa imong impact kaysa Genshin Impact.
Okay.
Wale nga joke.
Di ko ka-relate. I don't play Genshin Impact.
Ako na lang, Space Impact.
Okay. Ay, wala ko kaabot. Kung ano ko naabtan gyud. Bantumi. Wala gihapon siya mo Bantumi.
Okay. But again, thank you so much, Miss Jan. And hopefully, basi bakauli ka, we can do an episode of this live. We don't know. I'm very much hopeful na we will talk again. We will see each other again. We miss you back home. And yeah, for everyone listening and up until this point, congratulations, you did it. And up until the next episode of Higalaay with Louie Himoya and Miss JanMell. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.